Hello. Hey, what's up? It is Monday morning to be exact. It is a cold, gloomy, and rainy Monday morning. At least it's not snowing. I'm one of those people where I don't like the snow. I actually prefer the rain other than snow if it's going to change seasons. And this is typically that time of year where I kind of just, the weather affects my mood. And so I'm currently out and about running some errands. Mainly I had to run to the post office to return a package. And as I was just out, I'm like, I just feel so icky. So I want to do some kind of mood boosting stitching. I was thinking about what could I do to just kind of get out of a funk. And so I thought about the Tapestry blanket that I had, and today would be a perfect day to kind of pull that out and start working on it. So I'm really excited about that. I actually came across this tapestry material at my local thrift store. I feel like tapestry blankets or tapestry material, you typically can find it at like your local flea market, a local thrift store, a garage sale, or maybe like at your grandma's house, or somebody who's definitely like more mature in your family, like your grandma, your aunt, your uncle, somebody like that. My grandma, she definitely had a tapestry blanket at her house, and I would have loved to like turn that into a garment, but that's neither here nor there, and that's not the way the cookie crumbled. But when I did come across this tapestry blanket, I was like, oh, I know exactly what I want to do with this. I had already been just browsing through Pinterest and saving some pins and some ideas and inspiration for if I were to come across some material like this. And it just so happened I was, in my local thrift store, and I came across this blanket, and I was like, yep, I know exactly what I want to do with it. And so today I'm going to be pulling that out, stitch that up, and making some pants. Now, I'm not reinventing the wheel, okay? I have come across some other creatives and people online, like on TikTok and here on YouTube, where I've seen them turn like tapestry blankets into like a jacket or some pants, and it turned out really good. And I think it came out good because this particular material or this fabric, when you're working with it, I think whether you use it on the right or the wrong side, you can't really go wrong with it because the material itself is already so interesting. It's textured, it's colorful, and I think whether you stitch it up on the right or wrong side, like, it's gonna look good. But for me, I don't know who this woman is on the front of this blanket. Again, I found this at my local thrift store, but what I thought was really interesting about this blanket is I love how it says partners in crime. So when I get back home, I want to lay out the fabric and figure out how to stitch up these pants using an existing pattern that I already have, and lay it out so that way the partners in crime kind of show up somewhere. I don't know where exactly. I have to figure that out once I get home, but I am really excited to get started working on this. And yeah, so I'm excited. I just want to chat through just what I have in mind for it, and I'm going to walk you all through the process. If you are someone who you don't have sewing patterns at home, again, if you do a quick YouTube search, you'll come across other people that have done this. You don't necessarily need a sewing pattern. You can use existing pants that you already have at home. I'm just using a sewing pattern because that's what I have access to, so I'm going to lay that all out. And if you have any recommendations on where I can find more tapestry blankets or tapestry material, definitely let me know in the comment section below, because if this turns out well, I might be making some more of these. And again, I feel like I only come across this particular material at like a flea market, a thrift store, or it's just like kind of laying around in somebody's like, throw blanket bin. So if you have any recommendations on where I can purchase more tapestry material, let your girl know. Let me know in the comments section, because I would love to make something else a little bit more interesting. I've seen tapestry material with like celebrities' faces, or with dope floral designs, or like just something a little bit more interesting than someone else's like face. I believe at some point Shutterfly was offering custom tapestry blankets where you can kind of put your own custom image and print it out on a blanket and then gift it to someone. And I checked their website because there's like a little tag on the bottom of the blanket that I have to see if this was something that they still offer. Currently at the moment it's not something that they offer, so yeah, let me know if you have recommendations or where I can find some dope tapestry material. So I'm going to stop rambling so I can get home and start stitching this up. As you all can see, you know, my mood is already just like up and in high spirits just thinking about this project. So I'm going to hurry up, get home so that I can start stitching this up and just show you all the whole process. So I'll tap in with you all once I get back home. Okay, so I have the blanket laid all out on my living room floor. I really want to keep the fringe detail. I think I showed you all in a little bit of a clip that the side fringe and the bottom fringe are two different colors. The bottom fringe is black and white and the side fringe is multicolored. I really want to make sure that I have the colorful fringe along the outer leg seam on both sides of the pants. So I also want to make sure that I have the partners in crime. I want to make sure that I have that on one of the pant legs. So the way I'm going to lay my pattern out is going to be different. I'm going to make sure that I have at least one pant leg along the partners in crime, so that way that can kind of wrap around one leg, and then the other leg I don't really have a preference on how I want it to lay out, but because I want the partners in crime to go vertically along my pant, like on the side, I'm going to make sure that I cut it a particular way, as well as the fringe along the side of the blanket. At some point I'll invest in a big cutting table, but for right now my floor works, and I recommend for you find an area within your home or in your space that is convenient for you to lay your blanket out, so that way you can get an idea of where you want to cut out the certain pieces of the blanket, so that way certain parts of the blanket show once you have the garment laid out. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my cutting mat as well as my rotary cutter as well as the pattern and start to cut out the sections. Alright, so I have everything cut out and I just wanted to go over the placement of everything. So this is one half of the pant and this is the other half. So you'll see I have the right side of the material facing each other. This is the side in particular that has the partners in crime writing on it, and then this is the other pant leg with the woman's face on it. I decided to go with having the woman's face on the inside of my pant, so that way when the fabric is being shown, you won't see her face. I thought it was a little odd to have a random woman's face on my pants and have her eye just on the back of my pant leg. So I decided to just have this on the inside of the pant, and this is what it's looking like. It took me a while to decide how I wanted this to be laid out. This will all make sense once it all gets stitched together. But basically, I have the right sides of the fabric facing each other. I am going to stitch up the inner seams right beneath the crotch on both pant legs. And then on the outer pant legs, I simply have the pockets laid out. One attached to the front leg of the pant, one attached to the back side, and then I also have the trim tucked inward along the outer seam of the back pant leg. And all I did was pin everything in place like that. So this is one side of the pant, and then this is another pant leg. And again, we're just going to take from where we have that crotch lining, and we're going to stitch from the top of that curve, and we're going to stitch it all the way down to the bottom. And we're not going to stitch up the outer leg seam where the pocket and the trim is yet. We're just going to go ahead and set up this inner seam first. So I'll go ahead and do that and then come back and check in with you all, so that way we can move into the next step. So the first step is to just stitch up the inner crotch leg. Okay, y'all, so I have the inner seam of the leg stitched up for both this pant as well as the other one. And also, side note, it is so gloomy and dreary out that I had to turn on not only my light in my room as well as my ring light, because it's midday and it is just so dark out. Anyways, okay, you all know it's raining today. But moving along, once you have this inner seam leg stitched up, then you're just going to go ahead and open this right sides up. You are going to open this up and you're going to take the other pant leg and lay it on top, right sides facing each other. Because now you're going to have the part where the seam allowance is, you're going to make sure that that's on the outside on both sides, and you have the right sides facing each other, so that way you can go ahead and stitch up this inner crotch area. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So all we did was to just rewind. We're taking both sides of the pants. This is what it looks like when it's laying flat. You have pant leg 1. This is what it looks like. We have that inner seam stitched up. All we're doing is opening that up, making sure that the right side is facing up. Then you're going to take the other pant leg, open it up, and lay the right side right on top of the other right side of the other pant leg. And this is just so that way you can stitch up the center crotch area. Can you see that? That's the crotch area. This is so that way you don't have to insert one leg inside of the other leg and reverse it. It's a whole thing. I have other sewing videos on my channel if you want to check it out, but this is how I prefer to stitch up the center crotch seam of pants. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this and stitch it up and then come back and show you all the next step. And because this is the crotch, you're going to make sure that you stitch up along this crotch area twice. You're going to do an outer stitch and then an inner stitch, just because this is the area that will get the most movement, and you want to make sure that your garment doesn't unravel here at the crotch. So you're going to double stitch here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and stitch that up. Now that I have that center crotch seam stitched, visually this is where everything will start to come together. I'm just going to open up the pants completely so that way you can see how the seams kind of fall into place. And now you have that center crotch seam aligned, and once you open up the pant leg, and you match up the top corner to the other top corner on the front and back of the pant. Once you open it up, you will see that now you already have your 2 pant legs, and all you have to do is essentially stitch up the side seams, the outer side seam. You see that your center crotch is already stitched together, and the next step is you're just going to attach the pockets as well as the trim. Now, in my opinion, I think that it's easier to go ahead and do this separately before you stitch up the entire side outer seam. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach the pockets on both sides of the pants, both the front and back, to the pant legs, and then I'm going to go ahead and attach the trim to the pant leg, and then I'm going to go ahead and stitch up the entire pant leg front and back together. So I'm just going to close the pants back up so that way you can see what your project should look like if you're at this step. Just a reminder, I double stitched the crotch. I didn't double stitch it from the top of the pant to the middle of the crotch. I only stitched along the center curve with that double stitch. And once you open the pants back up, this is how your project should look. You should have that center crotch seam stitched together and just your pockets, and the trim is the next step that you have to stitch down. I have another sewing tutorial on my channel that might help make this visually a little bit more easier if you are a beginner sewist, but once you kind of get the hang of sewing up pants in this way, it'll just become second nature. So I'm going to go ahead and start stitching this up and then come back and show you all the next part of what your project should look like once you actually have the pockets as well as the trim attached to the pant legs. Okay, you all, I am back. I ended up pushing pause on this project yesterday because let me tell you, if you decide to stitch up a tapestry blanket and it has this fringe on it, there will be fringe everywhere. That's just my little tidbit. I spent yesterday trying to get up as much as I could of this fringe, but the step that I am on now is I went ahead and just reversed the pants to the wrong side of the fabric, and I have the pockets facing outward on both sides. So now all I pretty much have to do is I have to stitch up the outer leg seam as well as stitch up the pockets around the outer side, and pop in an elastic waistband on the top, and these pants will be finished. But just a little disclaimer for those who are curious, I'm going to show you a little bit of my floor. I don't know if you all can see, but it's fringe everywhere on my floor, and I actually cut this out on my living room carpet. And just a FYI, the fringe will be everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and start stitching up the next portion of this project. It's only a few more steps left to go. Stitch up the outer side seam, stitch around the pocket, and pop in an elastic waistband. So I'm going to go ahead and start stitching and check back in with you all on the next step. Once I have reversed the pants to the wrong side of the fabric, or the back side of the tapestry blanket, I went ahead and stitched up both the outer side seams of the pants as well as along the perimeter of the pocket, so that way your pockets are sealed and closed and ready to be used. So I've already stitched up the side seams as well as the pocket, and now all I'm going to do is pop in the casing for the elastic waistband. Something else you can also do is, if you want, you can take the extra fringe that you have and you can attach the extra fringe along the bottom of the pants at the hem. I'm going to show you all what I'm talking about. So this is the extra fringe. This is the black fringe, and since the pants are already on the back side, if you want that effect at the bottom of your pants, you can go ahead and attach it along the bottom. I first want to see how the pants look without it on the bottom, so I'm going to go ahead and start prepping the casing for the pants. And how I'm going to go about prepping that is, I'm just going to take this seam gauge and just make sure that this is even all the way around. I don't know if you all can see it on camera, but I already have it kind of marked off. So I'm going to go ahead and pin this around and then leave a small opening so that way I can insert the elastic. So let me go ahead and get this pin. Okay, so I went ahead and popped in the hem off camera to make sure that the pants fit. So that's all in there. There's no pretty way to show you how to pop elastic inside of a pair of pants, but I do have other sewing videos on my channel if you want to check it out. And once I tried it on, I did realize that I wanted the fringe to go along the bottom hem of the pants. So now I'm just clipping that black and white leftover fringe. I'm just clipping it along the wrong side of the tapestry material, so that way when I reverse it on the opposite side, you'll see that trim on the bottom part of the pants. So that's all I'm doing right now, is I'm just clipping this along the bottom hem of the pants. So I'll continue clipping this and show you what it looks like. All right, so this is what the hem of the pants look like once I have the trim all clipped around the bottom. And I'm just going to take the excess trim that's left over and I'm going to overlap it just a little to clip it. And then I'm just going to cut off the rest of it and put it along the bottom pant leg of the other side. So this is what it's looking like. I'll do the other side and then sew this along the hem of the bottom of the pants.